I say your attempt to hold the away team at bay with a non-functioning weapon was an act of unmitigated gall.
Didn't fool you, huh?
I admire gall.
Hello, Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and tonight we are going to be taking a look at the awesome Lieutenant Worf, another figure from the Super 7 Star Trek The Next Generation Ultimates line. And Lieutenant Worf is a very prominent character in the Star Trek universe, but we're not here to talk about his character, but his action figure. So, taking a look at the box, it is in your standard Super 7 Ultimates box. You have an awesome starfield with the Starfleet insignia right there. You have ages 14+, Worf, Super 7. On the top of the box, you have Ultimates and some more stars. On the left side of the box, stars. On the right side of the box, stars. On the bottom of the box, you do have some credits for the box and a barcode. If that is of any interest to you, coming around to the back of the box, you have Star Trek The Next Generation's logo there. At the bottom of the box, you have contents, one figure with accessories, Star Trek Universe, and Super 7. And that is pretty much it for the outside of the box, as it were, but this is a slip cover, and all we have to do to see some more product goodness is to remove the slip cover by bringing it up like such, and when we do that, we see Lieutenant Worf inside the packaging, and this is awesome. You have ages 14+, Super 7 again, and you have Worf in there with his accessories. Star Trek The Next Generation logo now appears. Nothing on this side of the box, nothing on this side of the box. The bottom remains the same. The top, you still have Ultimates there, and coming around to the back of the packaging, you see a nice picture of Worf there, as if it's like a computer screen and personnel files. Lots of cool little details there, and if we scroll in, we could see a nice read-up of Worf, and that is really nice. And scrolling backwards, that is going to be the extent of the Super 7 packaging, and I don't want to see Worf in the packaging. I know you don't, so let's get him out and see how honorable he is. And here we have Lieutenant Worf out of the packaging. Out of the packaging, he stands approximately 7.5 inches tall, and he comes with an ultimate amount of accessories that we'll take a look at in just a moment. But first off, I want to take a look at the son of Mogh himself. And coming real close on Lieutenant Worf's head sculpt. Now this is a very nicely done head sculpt. As you can see, they have molded and sculpted his Klingon ridges in there, and they are awesome. They go all the way up almost to the top of his head, but not exactly. And then you have them coming up on both sides into a point right here in the center, point, and that is really cool. He has some nice eyebrows. His eyes are a nice deadpan, very serious, telling you to fool around and find out. And he has a nice ridged nose coming down. He has his goatee sculpted and molded in with some nice thick lips. On the side profile, you can see he has his hair going all the way down almost to the bottom of his chin, but not exactly. And this is indicative of, I think, Season 5 Worf. I think anything past Season 5, he had a ponytail, and anything before that, his hair was a little higher up on his head. Coming around to the back, you can see it going down in different layers and molds and sculpted different ways. It's very nice. Nice wash in there. I like that. Coming around to the front of the figure, if we were to take a closer look at his uniform and scroll down just a little bit, you can see he is in his standard Season 3 and onward uniform, because they had the collared uniforms, and you do have a little bit of gold going around the top of the collar here. And you also have his 2 rank pips right there, signifying that he is a lieutenant, so that is really nice. Coming down to his full torso, it is a standard golden uniform, which were worn by engineering and security staff. He has his communicator badge right here, which is done in a nice silver and gold. And Mr. Worf is also sporting his traditional sash, which is part of his Klingon heritage, and it is nicely done. Normally, I wouldn't have minded if it was just done in a regular silver, but they put a lot of textured detail in this thing, and it's really nicely done, even up to the top where they have the circle and the square part molded in. That is really nice, and a real good attention to detail, like I was saying before. So yeah, I like this thing. Super 7 did do their homework when it came to his sash. Now, if we scroll back out, taking a look at the torso again, now the golds do appear slightly different. Now, the chest gold here is darker than what the arm gold is, and that's really strange. It's very subtle. You can't really tell until you look at the hinges here. The hinges in the arm are the same color as the chest, so you can see that they are not exactly the same color as the arm. Well, it's very faint. It might not be coming up on camera, but I could see it with the naked eye, and that's a bit strange. But anyway, moving onward, he does have a black midsection, and that's coming down from his uniform tunic, and that will take us down to his pants, and he has some nice shiny boots. Coming around to the side of the uniform, if we turn him around, he does have a black section which comes up to the side, and that's standard, and on the back, nothing that you wouldn't expect there. So yeah, that is pretty neat. Little strange in the color differential. I'm not sure why that is. It may be just that that's how the plastic came out after it was produced, or maybe it was something hardly noticeable, and it really isn't a big deal, and I'm just being too observant, I guess. All right, and that is what Lieutenant Worf is going to look like. Moving on. And full accessories, starting off with Worf's alternate head. It is very nicely done. It is very angry. You can see Worf gritting his teeth, and his eyes are even more slanted, and he's like, "Arr!" He must be talking to Doras or a Romulan, perhaps. But he is not having a good day. He's very angry, and that is a cool head sculpt coming around. Nothing different on the back. You still have the nice layered hair, and that is really, really cool. So be careful of your Worf when he's wearing this head. And for accessories, Worf comes with a plethora of alternate hands. He comes packed with a set of calm hands. He has a set of fighting hands, which include an open hand and a closed fist. At least that's what I'm going to go with. He comes with a glass holding hand, and that glass is his favorite prune juice. And taking a closer look at the glass of prune juice, it's really nicely done. It's just a plastic little glass, and you've got a little purple paint on the inside of there, signifying the prune juice, and then it's clear on the bottom, and he can hold this and drink this and get made fun of by Quark. But that's later on. It's just a fun little accessory. He comes with a phaser holding hand. And taking a look at the phaser, it's really nicely done. We've seen this same phaser 4 times already. You got the black for the barrel, you got the silver for the main body, green to indicate the level, and then your setting buttons, and then your firing button. Handle is silver again, and then you got a little bit of black detail here, and that is really nice. Coming around to the back of the phaser, got a little bit of molded detail in there, but mostly all silver, and this is a very nice sculpted phaser. Really like it, and Worf can phase and attack whoever he needs to with this nice little phaser, and that is really neat. He also comes with a Type 3 phaser holding hand for the Type 3 phaser, or phaser rifle, whichever you want to call it. And the phaser rifle is a new addition that we haven't seen before. It's very nicely done, mostly silver. You do get a little bit of gunmetal gray back here, and this handle's gunmetal gray with some black, as opposed to this silver handle and with the black. A little bit of black detail here, and the gunmetal gray and the black on the barrel. Coming around to the top of the weapon, you do have your little scope section here, and then some more settings and buttons and black, and that is really nicely done. Coming to the bottom, mostly all silver there. And yeah, I like the way this is designed. Looks very nice, and Worf could use this if he wants to be really intimidating, and the little hand phaser just wasn't doing it. And what is neat with this accessory is it comes with a blast effect. You have this nice yellow blast effect, and it will plug into the barrel of the phaser, and boom, you have the phaser simulating a blast, a stun beam coming out, and that is cool. Now, the only thing I think they could have done different was they could have adapted this to actually fit the hand phaser, the Type 2 phaser, as well as the Type 3, but they didn't do it, and this is what we got. But this still looks cool in any event, and that's going to be Lieutenant Worf's alternate hands. And for Lieutenant Worf's final accessory, he comes with what every good Klingon needs, and that is a bat'leth. And this is really nicely done, sculpted very well with the 4 blades and nice silver paint. And you do have some brown for the handle wraps, and that is really cool. And Worf can hold this and attack with this and make it become part of his arm, and it is really cool. Definitely an accessory that I am so glad that Super 7 threw in with him. And this has been Lieutenant Worf's accessories. Moving on. And for comparison, here you have the Super 7 Worf with the Art Asylum Worf, which is a slightly larger scale. But taking a look at the two, I think that the Super 7 Worf has the better sculpt and mold. This looks more like a generic Klingon in a Starfleet uniform. This has a little more similarities to Worf in the face. But that being said, I do think the Art Asylum skin tone is a little closer. I think the Super 7 got it a little too dark, especially with the hair. I think Worf's hair should be a little browner than it is, and his face should be a little lighter. And as far as the uniform is concerned, pretty much the same. I do like the Super 7's comm badge as opposed to this one. This one seems a little small to me. The sash on the Art Asylum, however, is better, I think, than the one on the Super 7, but that could be because this one is larger and you got a little more detail in it because they have more to work with. So, because if we turn around to the back, the Art Asylum one does have this little section right here. This just shows how it can come on, I think. And the Art Asylum has Worf's hair in a ponytail, so he is the later version from season 6 and 7. But other than those minor differences, basically the look is going to be the same. And I think they're both good looking figures. However, if I was to only have one in my collection, I think I would definitely go with the more updated figure, the Super 7. But that's just my opinion, and you may like the Art Asylum better. And that is your comparison between the Super 7 and the Art Asylum. And for comparison, here you have Lieutenant Worf with the other Super 7 Star Trek The Next Generation Ultimates figures. Captain Picard, Commander Riker, and Lieutenant Commander Data. And I love this set of figures. I think this crew is shaping up to be better than the Art Asylum in the way that they're sculpted and molded. The Super 7 figures look real to a certain degree. They're not as tall as the Art Asylum, but they're also proportionately in scale with each other. So there's a lot of good stuff going on with the Super 7 Ultimates here. And that's going to be your comparisons. Moving on. And this has been the Super 7 Star Trek The Next Generation Ultimates Lieutenant Worf. Another fine figure to add to the Star Trek The Next Generation line. I think Super 7 is knocking it out of the park with these figures. They are a great sculpt and mold. I think the scale is right in line where it should be, especially when you measure each of the figures in the line. Now, one could argue that the paint on Worf could be adjusted a little bit. I think his hair was a little too dark, and I think his skin tone was a little too dark. But I think maybe in certain episodes he did come off as having a little darker skin tone. The color difference between the chest and the arms, very minute, very minor. In fact, I probably wouldn't have noticed it had I been looking at it in a different type of light. And going back and looking at it, it looks like Commander Riker and Captain Picard's chest and arms have the same differential. So it's something that I can overlook because it's not really that noticeable. The accessories that come with Worf are great. His bathlet is a must. The inclusion of the prune juice drink is hilarious and shows that the Super 7 staff did their research and they knew what was important to the character. The phaser is a must-have for Worf since he's head of security, and the Type 3 phaser rifle was a pretty neat add-on. And the blast effect, again, I think the blast effect would have been cooler if it could have also gone into the hand phaser as well as the phaser rifle. The alternate head is okay. I like to have an angry Worf, and the alternate hands are okay as well. Like I've always said, options are good. So that is going to be your Lieutenant Worf. Highly recommend it, especially if you are collecting the Super 7 Ultimates TNG figures, or if you're just a fan of Worf. He has been on more Star Trek than anybody else to date. So if you are looking for Mr. Worf here, you can find him online for approximately $55. And actually, I think I saw him on sale on the Walmart website for $45 a few days ago. So if you're looking for him, happy hunting. And that's it, guys. That's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great night. And until next time, keep playing.